Hello, Sunday Fantasy Football League. This is Johnny Utah, your commish, coming at you with Week 1 takeaways. I'm not a big fan of overreacting to things that occur in Week 1, but there was some substantial, notable developments that I thought I'd call out and give some general feedback on the games that took place this last weekend. In fact, right now we are only about 17 minutes from Thursday Night Football with the Bucs and the Panthers. So I'm not going to touch that in terms of a preview. This will strictly be a video pertaining to what happened Week 1 with Sunday Fantasy Football. So to dive right in, I think the first takeaway is I think we can all agree that the half-point PPR does make an impact, and I was happy to see a lot of high-scoring games. In fact, if we look at the scoreboard, there are only two teams that failed to score 100 points this week. So we had a lot of 120, 130, 115, at least 110 type scores. So a substantial increase from what we'd see last year. I think with non-PPR, if you score 100 plus points, you're probably 50-50 to win that game, and you feel good about what your team accomplished that particular week. So with the PPR, it changes everything, even though it's only a half point. Can you guys imagine if we would have done a full point PPR? We'd be talking about scores 140 and above, likely. So here we go. The game of the week, Johnny Utah, this guy, versus Tex-Mex, which was a rematch of last year's championship. It was the most closely contested game of the week. Came down to the final quarter, the final plays, the final minute of the game between Houston and the Saints. Great game, by the way. If you didn't see it, you missed a heck of a game. Drew Brees doing what he does, gets them in position with a last completion to get them in range for a 58-yard field goal. What a game. Deshaun Watson, what a game. Just both teams balled out. So heck of a game. And that did determine, because I ended up beating Johnny Utah beat Tex-Mex by 1.2 points. And it was close throughout that game. It went back and forth a little bit. Really fun to do that with Tex-Mex and kind of chat back and forth with him as the game was going on. So a couple other close matchups. We had Rich number one again defeats Mama in Motion by 2.1 points. Missy was looking good going into those final games, and Rich just pulled it out. I couldn't tell you exactly who. I don't have those matchups in front of me at the moment. And then Shane Falco defeated Stairway to 7 by 5. That was also a very close game. It was in the 120s, if I'm not mistaken. Then some of the takeaways. Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs carry fantasy teams to victory again. Pick up right where they left off last year. It's not a fluke. Patrick Mahomes doing what he does. A lot of the Chiefs, Kelsey, he delivered pretty well, 17, 18 points. Then you had Tyreek Hill, of course, got hurt. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. That changes the landscape of their offense a little bit, but not if you ask Sammy Watkins, because that guy balled out. Career game for him. And if you owned him, if you took a mid-round flyer on him as the number 2 receiver for Kansas City, you got paid off very nicely. Also, Mark Ingram and Lamar Jackson fly against the hapless Dolphins. I don't know, is Baltimore really that good? Is Lamar Jackson really that good? He had a perfect passer rating, 5 TDs, only 3 incompletions. A historic game. But are the Dolphins really that good? I don't know how to read this. I mean, time will tell. I think we get 3-4 weeks into the season. We're going to know more about both the teams. I think it's safe to say the Dolphins are going to be bottom feeders, but can at least compete to a certain degree? They play the Patriots this week. They're huge underdogs. So we'll see what happens. Then also, Derrick Henry picks up right where he left off last year. Last year, as we all know, he closed the season with a remarkable stretch of games, last 4 or 5 games. Proved to be like, hey, if he can do that every week, he's like a first or second round running back for sure. He's a bell cow. So they beat up on the Browns, and so much hype for the Browns. Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, David Njoku. What happened? I don't know. And to such a degree that it led to Tex-Mex, who drafted Baker Mayfield as the 5th overall quarterback in the 7th round. That is substantial draft capital to spend on a quarterback. unless you're one of those, hey, I'm going to take a quarterback early or I'm going to wait and get kind of a middle tier guy, he already dropped him. He dropped Baker Mayfield, the 7th round pick, number 5 quarterback overall, dropped him to waivers. And I was waiting in the wings and go ahead and pick him up because he might be able to do better than my 11th round pick at quarterback, Jameis Winston, who struggled mightily. Bruce Arians, please work your magic. But this week, I'm going to start Baker, even though Jameis is getting ready to fire it up right now Thursday night, but at Carolina, so who knows what's going to happen, but he's got to show me more before I'm going to take a chance on him, because I think Baker bounces back and he starts rewarding those people that are going to see it through and just hold on to him, let him do his thing. So Dave takes care of business in a huge way with another remarkable performance by Christian McCaffrey, who also picks right up where he left off and totally justifies his number 1 pick status in a lot of drafts. So even over Saquon Barkley. So it happened in a lot of drafts, and people were kind of like, what? But the guy, he was on the field for 100% of the snaps, offensive snaps for the Carolina Panthers. He's the only running back to do that in a long time. And if that keeps up all year, number one, he's either going to be by far the number 1 running back in the league, or number 2, he's going to be beat to shit and he's going to get injured at some point. So we'll see if they can manage that workload, because he's on pace for a ridiculous. I just worry about his health, getting that many touches. But right now, looking remarkable. Dalvin Cook. I mean, we all knew he had the potential. We knew that Minnesota was going to a run-heavy offense. But let me frame this for you. What if I were to tell you that the Vikings beat the Falcons by like 30, and Kirk Cousins only threw the ball 10 times? It was a historic number in terms of that margin of victory and the amount that he passed the ball. 10 times, I mean, what is this, 1934? But Dalvin Cook totally made up for it with his remarkable running. He put up big numbers, and if he can stay healthy, he's a league winner. I mean, I know he's like a second-round back, but he's another guy that if he continues up with this production, he will obviously be first-round value. Now, again, there's some injury history there, but again, the guy's got to catch a break. If he can put together the whole season, it's going to be great. Then, Melvin Gordon's out, so, what's going to happen? Austin Eckler was the obvious replacement for him. Maybe Justin Jackson, depending on your train of thought. But Austin Eckler left no doubt he was more than a capable backup. Scored 38 points, I believe. Just balled out. Killed it. Great results for Shane Falco. Shane Falco taking Austin Eckler in the middle rounds. Like, you're killing it right now. So that might be one of the picks of the year if Austin Eckler continues to go on a rampage like he did last Sunday. Then we're going to the category of should we be worried? Should we be concerned? Is it panic time players? So first I want to mention Baker Mayfield, aforementioned. As I said, I think he bounces back. It was a rough week, a lot of expectations. Titans defense is no slouch, and they really came at him. The Browns offensive line is going to need some work, or he is going to get pounded for a lot of this year, and I don't think they'll live up to the expectations if that continues. Another guy, Jameis Winston, who, again, tied back to Johnny Utah. I don't know, inexcusable. Threw 2 pick sixes, let the 49ers win that game just based on those turnovers. We'll see what Bruce Arians can do. I'm not bailing just yet. Mike Evans, again, tied to Jameis Winston. What do you do? He's taken in top 7 receivers. Jameis is going to need to get together if Mike Evans is going to put together a season like he has done. He's been a top receiver traditionally through the years, and it's all on Jameis. You got to get that guy the ball. He's a monster. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not super concerned there. Good Bears defense. He didn't play in the preseason, looked rusty. Their offense looked rusty. They didn't click very well. They did enough to win against the Bears on Thursday night. I think Rodgers is okay in the long run. I think they figure it out. They get that offense. It's a new coach, new system. It's going to take a little time, so I'm not too concerned. Cam Newton, I don't know. He's healthy. New throwing motion, apparently. New focus on the offense to a certain extent. Same coaching staff, though. well, I mean, we'll see tonight. In fact, that game kicks off now in 7 minutes, so we will know, pretty soon if Cam is going to be, because when he's healthy and he's been on a decent team, which I think most people agree it's a decent team, he's put up great numbers. And then the Steelers overall, looking at their offense, James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster laid a dud against the Patriots. Patriots look awesome, but again, it's one of those Baltimore type situations. Are the Patriots really that good? Are the Steelers worse than we expected? I think the Steelers just had an off. I still think they're going to be okay. I do think the Patriots are good. I think Ben's okay. I think Connor's okay. I think Juju's okay. I wouldn't panic too much at this point. So looking at some injury concerns, Joe Mixon's a big one. Gio Bernard becomes the guy. We'll see. I've seen anything from a couple weeks to week. Hopefully he's back soon. Hunter Henry, tight end, probably a top 5 or 6 tight end prospect for most folks. He can't buy a break. He's been injured last season with the ACL. Now he broke part of his fibula, tibia something. And I've heard 4 to 6 weeks, some potential short-term IR. We'll see what happens. Virgil Green, I don't think he's going to be relevant even if he fills in. There's also talk that, yes, Antonio Gates comes back for his 79th season. So we'll see. That guy's amazing. If he comes back and can be 50% of what he was before, might be worth a look. Who knows? And then Darius Geis, another one with Hunter Henry, got hurt last year. High hopes this year. Hurt again. They're talking meniscus surgery, but still maybe a 4 to 6 month 2 time frame, which opens the door for Adrian Peterson. Speaking of Antonio Gates, another guy. I don't think Adrian Peterson's in his 47th year, maybe his 27th, but I think he might still have it. He might still have enough juice. I think he was a big pickup on the waiver wire to be able to do some damage for that Washington offense that put up a little bit in the first half against Philly, but let's see what they look like. Case Keenum looked really good actually, so might open up some opportunities. But keep an eye on Chris Thompson, the pass catching guy from Washington. He's been in and out, and he's also an injury concern, but from a PPR standpoint, could be sneaky. So then we get to the category of are they for real? Marquise Brown, the rookie out of Oklahoma, first round pick for the Baltimore Ravens. He put up amazing numbers. He caught these ridiculous deep balls. But if you kind of dig into the analytics of it, he only played 12 snaps, which I guess, hey, he's a rookie. He's still learning the offense. He's still learning the NFL. But what he did in 12 snaps, if you extrapolate that over a, say, 55 or 60 snap, 80, 90% of the snaps for that team, I mean, what is it, like 12 touchdowns and 1,000 yards? Obviously not realistic, but the guy showed he's a burner. He's savvy. He got behind the defense. But again, against the Dolphins, are they tanking for Tua? I don't know. So we'll see what that yields throughout the year. John Ross, the Bengals put up a heck of a fight against my Seahawks in Seattle. Should have won the game, honestly. But John Ross this is his third year. He set the combine record with a 4.22 40, the fastest ever, and has done really nothing to warrant his first round pick 3 years ago. But then this game with under new coaching staff, a new offense, showed out, balled out. But is this an anomaly or is this something that we can count on? I know he was a big add in free agency this week as well on the waiver wire, and we will see if that continues. But just to note, they do get Green back, and that could impact the targets. But hard to say until we see some more there. And then let's go to the Iowa rookie tight end T.J. Hawkinson. I spoke in depth about my disdain for rookie tight ends based on the history of rookie tight ends in the NFL. Usually it takes them a while to assimilate to the game, blocking schemes, route trees, offenses, etc., etc. T.J. Hawkinson looked like a veteran. He looked like Gronk Jr. out there. Had 130 yards, 6 catches, 9 targets, a touchdown. For folks that took a flyer on him in a late round as maybe their backup tight end, you're probably starting him this week, and you're probably taking a chance on him the rest of the year. Looks like a beast, and a lot of potential there. So that'll be exciting for us, that are in Iowa and Hawk fans potentially. So those are my takeaways from week 1. I know week 2 is kicking off here in just a couple minutes, so look forward to having another good week. Guys, hang in there for some of us. It was a rough week. We squeaked out wins. We almost had wins in some cases. As I mentioned, some of the teams that just got beat by very small margins. But everybody's still in it. You're either 1-0 or 0-1, and it can only get better. But I guess it can only get worse too. So a lot of ball to play. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Like the video. We'll see you next week.